Nearly 2 decades ago, when Dairy Queen opened its Tudor Road location in Anchorage, the lines of cars wrapped around the building. Within the first month, that single restaurant was shattering the company's national sales records. The demand for ice cream in the frozen north was so intense, the owners couldn't rely on normal shipping. They literally started loading vats of soft-serve mix onto Alaska Airlines passenger planes just to keep the machines running. But on June 30th, 2026, the people in Anchorage, Wasilla, and Palmer woke up to locked doors. Overnight, 3 of the state's 4 remaining Dairy Queens went dark. There were no clearance sales, no farewell tours, and no warnings for the staff. A corporate spokesperson confirmed the local franchise owner had pulled the plug, leaving an area roughly 2.5 times the size of Texas with exactly 1 remaining location. A collapse this sudden destroys a very common assumption about the restaurant industry. You cannot take a cookie-cutter franchise, drop it at the edge of the Arctic Circle, and expect the math to work the same way it does in Ohio. In the lower 48 states, fast food runs on a simple, predictable loop. Your distributor is usually a few hours down a paved highway. A truck backs up to your store, unloads your cups and burgers a couple of times a week, and leaves. This map shows the extreme alternative. To stock a restaurant in Anchorage, inventory has to cross thousands of miles by sea or negotiate the massive overland route through Western Canada. Looking closer at this route, we run into the weight-to-profit ratio. This is the basic idea that heavy cargo costs more to ship, eating into whatever money you make selling it. And liquid dairy mix is incredibly heavy. When you ship heavy, refrigerated items over these distances, the transportation costs multiply. Because of this, Alaskan franchise operators are hit with an astronomical freight penalty. They have to pay a massive premium to the shipping companies long before the product ever reaches their back door. Getting that mix off the boats requires complex physical infrastructure. You need specialized port handling and massive shipping containers engineered to keep that liquid perfectly chilled during weeks of transit. It doesn't matter how many blizzards you sell. The physical weight of liquid sugar and the sheer distance it travels instantly erase the built-in profit margins of a standard franchise. This chart tracks the rising cost of eating at a restaurant, known as the Food Away from Home Index. Leading into the middle of 2026, prices spiked another 3.5%, straining an already exhausted consumer base. Now watch what happens when we stack the franchisee's overhead on top of that. The cost of commercial rent rises, minimum wage mandates increase, core ingredient prices go up. The sliver of remaining profit gets completely squeezed out. The entire fast food model requires high volume to survive those razor-thin margins. If the margin drops below 0, volume doesn't save you. It just means you lose money faster. The Anchorage locations didn't close because Alaskans stopped eating ice cream. They closed because the compounded math of shipping, staffing, and operating in 2026 made it impossible to turn a profit. Out of the entire state, exactly 1 Dairy Queen survived. It sits down in Soldotna, and the Ishii family has managed it continuously for over 40 years. Before the Anchorage and Wasilla stores went dark, corporate actually approached the Ishiis and asked if they wanted to buy the failing locations. The family firmly declined. This map shows exactly why they said no. Attempting to centrally manage restaurants spread hundreds of miles apart across rough terrain is a concept local operators treat as logistical suicide. The Ishii family survives by doing the exact opposite. They deploy hyper-centralized management. By strictly controlling the operations of a single location, they generate enough efficiency to offset those punishing freight rates. Independent operators up here are fighting freezing temperatures and extreme weather on their own. They don't have a highly responsive, lower 48 corporate supply chain waiting to bail them out of a missed delivery. The rapid closures in Alaska prove that endless corporate expansion has geographic limits. At the edge of the map, standard franchise rules fail. You either master the hyper-local logistics, or you lock the doors.